We are finally back. Clean Hits Hockey Podcast. Kind of episode 1 of the inaugural Utah Mammoth season here. Schedules have been brutal, but here we are. We need to play the goal horn in celebration. Let's go. This feels good. It feels so long that we've been able to chat about the Utah Mammoth. We're sorry.
Please turn that thing off, man. Get rid of that horn. You've got to find a sound effect where it's just 1, not 16 in a row.
No, it's for the hype, man. Scare everybody that's driving home from work today. Hopefully you didn't have your volume up too loud. Just me, your host Brad, and we got Trent here. Unfortunately, Corey and Kenny cannot make it, but we'll have the whole team together really soon. We were saying before this is kind of how this whole thing started. Just you and I getting lunch and spending like 2 hours talking about prospects and the team. So it's going to feel like really old school a little bit. We were saying, I don't know if we've ever had an episode where it's just been me and you, which is shocking.
This is mark it down, folks. This is a special occasion. Yeah.
If anyone wants to waste some time and go back through everything we've ever recorded and see if we've ever had just a Brad and Trent episode, let us know. But yeah, how have you been? It's been a bit.
Yeah, man. It feels like we kind of just retired. You know, we had Bill Armstrong on. It was like the sum of all dreams. And we were like, the bucket list is complete. The podcast is over. Goodbye. Good night. Yeah, season kicked off. All this big news and hype and everything. And we're just totally absent like crickets, you know. Oh, well, we were just sort of basking in the glow of GMBA in our last episode, right?
Totally. I'm sure there's some of you watching that were a little concerned that maybe that was the end goal for Clean Hits and we had mission accomplished it and we're never coming back. But no fear. We will be here all season long and we're going to be trying to get a little bit more content out, a little bit more regularly. Schedules are crazy. I was in Chicago this past weekend for a betting news trip, which was a lot of fun, but also
how much old style and Malort did you have?
I kept away from the old style. I'm a Coors Light guy, but we did do some Malort, and it never gets easier.
You know, that old style, it's just like I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank in like 5 or 6 years or something like that. But I used to do a fair bit of it in my younger days. And that old style to me just kind of tastes like no matter how cold you get it, it's always a little warm. You know what I mean?
I agree. I agree.
It tastes warm. It's not my favorite. And then Malort is like infamously disgusting on purpose, right? It's just like floral and horrifically bad.
Rubbery.
Basically. Yeah.
Rubbery is how I would tire taste. But it's a tradition out there. So yeah.
Yes. Some Chicago, culinary traditions are really good. Some not so great. Yeah. I do like the deep dish pizzas, and I like all the salad and sport peppers and every other thing on the hot dog.
Yeah.
They got some good stuff out there.
Yeah. And honestly, really I'm more of a tavern style on the pizza, the thin crust, but
I like to get both. I like to go with a big enough group of people where we could get one of each. Yeah, both extremes, and bring the tavern out while we wait for the crazy deep dish sauce on top guy, right?
Oh man, that's like an elite way to order it. Wow.
Never thought that. It helps when like you by default always have a wife and 2 kids with you anyway. So there's 4 people, and then if you go with somebody else, like before you know it, you got like 8 heads, and you can just you can get creative in your ordering,
Yep.
So I saw your hype video. Yes, the hype video was something else, man. What you drained about a 12-pack of Coors Lights, and then you were ripping a slap shot with a mini stick or something like that. What was that all about?
Yep. Well, if you've been living under a rock, I do have a little gambling account on the side called Gretzky Bet Skis. Every year I've done like a little puck drop video to start the season off. Typically it's just been shot on the phone. But we upped the quality production value this year. Yeah. So that took about 6 hours to record in my friend's garage. Got really, really sweaty here. Go check me out on Gretzky Bet Skis, plural, on Twitter if you want to see that video. I guess I could play it, but people listen to it. You go find it.
I would say I'm glad it took 6 hours because that was a lot of Coors Lights, bro.
Yes.
Lot of Coors Lights. So I'm glad you had 6 hours to process that through the old liver there.
Yes. Yeah. And the funny thing is it's like standing on ice blocks because we wanted to make it look like I was in a rink at first and like zoom in on my feet on ice. But the water and ice place I went to on the way to go to the shoot literally only had 2 blocks.
That seems like a good way to break a wrist. If I'm being honest, you're going to put an ice block on concrete in Phoenix in when it's 100 degrees outside and drain a 12-pack of CLs. You're in trouble pretty quick, I think. There. Oh yeah, I think it's for the best. Yeah.
Could have snapped an ankle, lower body injury. Week to week,
LBI 6 to 8 weeks.
yeah.
Well, speaking of that, man, here's one thing I wanted to ask you, and I'll ask anyone who's listening. Please chime in the comments or jump in the Discord and let me know. I've got an 11-year-old boy. You've heard me reference a bunch of times. He's a really good golfer, first and foremost. Super passionate about golf. Kid loves golf. He's all about golf. He's golfing today. That's where he is right now, golfing with his grandpa. Nice. But he also plays hockey. He's on a 12U team. Pretty good little house leaguer anyway. Kind of a power forward type, just a monster out there. He's like a Happy Gilmore, lunatic on the ice, but also a golfer. It's kind of a funny dichotomy. But he's been after me and my wife to get him a skateboard. And I'm like, I saw him on the skateboard and he was like shockingly good for a first timer. Like physically, he just like knew how to do it. He looked good on it. Most people kind of do that weird shuffling thing and they look kind of goofy. Yeah. He didn't have that. Like he knew what to do. Like his friend was kind of showing him how, and boom, he was on the skateboard. He looked really good. I was kind of proud of him. Like you look great on that thing. And he's been on me to get it. And I'm just like, I skateboarded a bunch when I was a kid. I never got hurt skateboarding. I broke a wrist snowboarding. I broke a femur on the ice. I broke, dislocated my shoulder playing hockey when I was older. So I got a bunch of injuries, never from skateboarding. I skateboarded a lot, but I just keep having these visions of like, kid falls down, breaks his wrist. He can't play hockey for 2 months. We're out thousands of dollars for hockey dues. He can't play golf. He's miserable, sitting on the couch, making our lives hell, making his life hell because he can't get out there and get on the links or out on the ice. And is the opportunity cost of goofing around on a skateboard worth it? Or are broken wrists inevitable with 11-year-old boys? And I don't know. I don't know what to do. What do you think, Brad? Should I cave and buy the kid a skateboard? Or should I lay down the law and be a jerk and tell him it's not worth it?
Yeah, I did. I partook a little bit too. Never was very good. And, really the worst that ever happened were like scraped knees and wrists and hands and whatnot. I mean, it feels like hockey is just as scary for the injuries, to be honest. But
to me, it's the opportunity cost. Like, what do you get out of hockey for the risk versus what do you get out of the skateboarding for the risk, right? You're goofing around with a skateboard by yourself in the cul-de-sac in front of our house, like killing time. It's not exactly like a team sport. You know what I mean? Where like you're winning, losing. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like
unless he goes to parks, I don't think you'd have to worry about too much.
Yeah, and he won't. And that's what I was telling my wife too. I'm like, he doesn't have friends that'll be teaching him tricks. He doesn't have any pressure to start doing tricks. He's just be out there goofing around by himself. So he's probably just going to be learning how to go up and down the roll curve and stay on the thing. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards yes. But I don't know.
I would go yes. Kids playing outside is always a good thing.
This kid, I can't keep him inside. He's nuts. He's a lunatic. We got to buy a bigger lot just for this kid. Anyway.
Well, yes. Let us know in the comments. Should Trent's child become a skateboarder and start ripping up the streets of Phoenix, or do we keep him in the golf and hockey realm?
Yeah. We'll see. I think he wants to be a triple threat. Brian.
Yeah, I do too.
Speaking of triple threats, offense, defense, goaltending. The Utah Mammoth have really, really shown us a wide range of abilities in multiple departments, haven't they?
Yes, I would say there's only one department that I would like to see a much wider range of, and that would be the goal scoring, not having had more than 3 goals a game. And one of the 3-goal games was an empty netter, and the other one happened in overtime. But the schedule was, I wouldn't say grueling, but there were definitely some traps in it. Game 1 against Colorado, I thought they were really impressive. Colorado looks like one of 4, maybe 5 of the top teams in the league, if not maybe the best right now. That is a team playing cup contending hockey in my mind. Dallas just losing last night for their first loss. Carolina looks extremely dangerous out there right now. Florida, the reigning Stanley Cup winners, dealing with tons and tons of injuries and are kind of going up and down right now. They just lost 3 in a row. I'm trying to think who else is Vegas. Vegas looks very impressive as well. Even Edmonton. I mean, didn't start off the way they wanted to, but they're kind of tightening things up a little bit. But Utah playing that style of a game 1 against Colorado after a preseason where it felt like 5 goals against was the norm was very refreshing to see. And obviously we all wanted that first win, first game, especially against the Avalanche. But I felt like that was, outside of the home opener, by far the most impressive game by the team so far.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't have a problem with that Colorado loss. They worked hard. They looked good. It was tough to not come up with a win after the preseason was so rocky. But Mike Folta and Adrian Denny made a really good point on their daily pod. They said that I had forgotten all about this. The year Andre Tourney's first year as a coach with the Coyotes, where they started, I think, 0-7 out the gate. Remember that?
Yeah, not as bad as that first year with Rick Tocchet, though, shockingly.
Yeah, that was even worse. But that year with Tourney, like where 10. They were, it was 10, I think, with Tocchet. But where they were 0-7 with Bear, that preseason, they won every game.
Yep. Yeah, we were letting everybody know this offseason not to completely lose it.
But yeah, so that was really the only disappointing thing about the Colorado game for me, was that they did play really well, which is great to see, but it was kind of a tough preseason. So I was like, oh man, I really hope they come out and steal a couple points here to start. But other than that, I thought it was a really good performance. Then they dipped a little bit performance wise, I think, after that.
Yeah, I missed the Nashville game. I was happy because I saw that they won, and that Gunther overtime goal was incredible. But Nashville has kind of came in, and they've been stickier, in the words of Rick Tocchet, than I think a lot of people expected. And then the Chicago game kind of was the opposite. They looked good. They should have won that game, but kind of got goaltendered, and got a really nice bounce back at home at the Birth of Tusky night. And I mean, they just looked completely dominant against Calgary.
Yeah.
Power play is one of those other components here that needs to be addressed, but big changes on the power play. Chemistry is still developing. I always hate when teams have to go up against goaltenders who haven't played much in this league, and there's not much film and not much tendencies that are kind of figured out, and those goaltenders are playing for their lives. So I had a feeling that Cooley, especially playing against Logan Cooley, would be standing on his head. But I thought overall, if the team plays like that, the majority of these games this season, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I was hoping to see a little bit more Cooley on Cooley violence there than we actually got. But yeah, Logan didn't get a whole lot on there. It made for a good bit for my 11-year-old. He got my head to snap. He was like, "Yeah, that Cooley kind of sucks." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, The goalie. I'm like, all right, yeah, got me. You got your old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the Nashville game was kind of a slop fest. It was kind of discipline issues. You know, a lot of mistakes both ways. Not the greatest game to watch, but yeah, the sheer dominance early and especially in the second period with Calgary was something to behold. And to your point, you know, these are small sample sizes early in the season. You know, but they do somewhat tell the story, right? Like they've given up the fewest shots against per game played in the league. The Mammoth have
really impressive.
They've given up the sixth fewest goals per game in the league. And then on the flip side they're dead last in power play percentage and 30th out of 32 in goals for per game played. So it's really a stark contrast in terms of how they're protecting Veggie and Veggie's performance versus how they're attacking and getting pucks on net, getting pucks through, especially with the man advantage, has been a huge problem for Utah. The shots on goal is kind of mid-range in the NHL wise. I think it's like somewhere 14th to 17th, somewhere right in the middle of the league. And I think the issue is the quality of those shots. So many of them are coming from the outside. That was painfully obvious, especially I think in the Calgary and Chicago games where it was too much from the perimeter, not enough in the slot, not enough in the low slot, not enough, you know, from the corner to the net, high danger passing and high danger scoring chances, you know, between the dots and the house, right? It was all perimeter stuff. We saw them rectify that to some degree against Calgary, but in Nashville and Chicago, I meant to say. Did I say Nashville and Chicago? That's what I meant. That was very, very perimeter. Yeah.
Yeah, and even when you're looking at, I mean, when you go up and down this roster, Gunther's really obviously the top shooting prowess on the team, especially as far as like shot attempts go here. You know, there's not really like a McKinnon or you know, even like a Makar on the back end. I know those are just two absolutely elite players here, but guys that are constantly kind of putting up that 5 to 6 shot attempts or more per game. Keller, even though he's a 30 plus goal scorer three years in a row here, has always kind of been more in that mid-range for volume, almost doubling you know, what shots on goal he'll hit with his attempts. Obviously, he'll have some times where he kind of perks up in the attempt field or area here, but he really started off the season kind of slow with the shots on goal and just kind of in general. I mean, there was only one game where he's had more than 2.
Which is interesting because I was listening to the PDO cast. Friend of the show, Steve Peters, was on that one. Shout out, Petey. Go listen to the PDO cast, especially when Petey's on it. It's great. But they were mentioning that Keller was 3rd in the league in offensive zone time with the puck on his stick among all forwards in the NHL. So he's possessing the puck. He's 3rd in the league in passes into the slot. It's just a lack of conversion on those. And maybe some of those passes should have been shots, right? Because he's not producing shots. Schmaltz is 1st in the NHL among forwards in cycle chances. I think that probably has to do with him being Keller's favorite target with some of those passes. And then the one guy who's getting into the slot with regularity, it seems like, is Cooley, who's 1st in inner slot shots in the league. But they're just not converting yet. Neither has Gunther. I mean, he's scoring, but he's got 34 shot attempts through 4 games, which is pretty stinking good, man. So I think it is. And then you've got Peterka with goals in back-to-back games. So it feels to me a little bit like this cold streak of the offense can't hold. The underlying metrics are there. You're seeing the chemistry develop. You're seeing the chances. You're seeing them hold possession of the puck, sustain offensive pressure. They're starting to get more and more into the slot. They're just not generating from the slot yet, but that's inevitable. I mean, every coach at every level from age 6 all the way up, go to the net. if you want to score, go to the net. And they're starting to do that. So I almost feel like there's just going to be an explosion of offense here very soon. The lid's going to pop off of this thing, and we're going to start seeing a lot of results. I think a game against the Sharks is a good option for that to happen.
Yeah. Dead last
and I'd love
shots against.
Yes. So this is brewing to be a perfect storm. It is a little bit of a trap game. The Sharks haven't won a game yet, so they'll probably be pretty desperate out there. So that's something to keep in mind, that they're going to be playing for pride a little bit.
As a Coyotes fan, we both well know that you can lose more than 4 games in a row
to start a season. Yeah, for sure. So they've got 8 more to go if they want to talk it. So let's get them down that path in this game. One I'd love to watch, but it's on ESPN, so that ain't happening for me, folks. So you'll have to fill me in.
I'm going to paint 2 pictures. I want you to try to guess these forwards from the Mammoth. This is just strictly shots on goal and shot attempts. So here's player 1. Going through the first 4 games of the season: 2 shots, 3 attempts, 1 shot, 3 attempts, 1 shot, 3 attempts, 2 shots, 5 attempts. And then let me give you the other player too, and then you can kind of try to figure out who these 2 are. The other one has 3 shots, 5 attempts, 4 shots, 7 attempts, 3 shots, 5 attempts, and 6 shots, 8 attempts.
The last one, did that total 34? If it did, that's Gunther. Okay. The first one sounds like it might be Keller, who's getting a decent amount of attempts, but not a lot of shots through.
The first one was actually JJ Peterka. Okay. And then the second one was Nick Schmaltz.
Oh, yeah. Schmaltz has been so good to start the season, especially in the last game, in the home opener. He was unreal against Calgary. Such a lightning rod for the team in terms of creating chances for himself and for his mates. Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah. But I think that's a nice illustration of kind of what the expectations would be for some of these players, especially on the offensive front here, and kind of what we're seeing. So, yeah, Keller's kind of shots and shot attempt chart looks almost identical to Peterka's. And Gunther's looks pretty much identical to Schmaltz. And obviously we knew Gunther was going to be ripping puck, but I don't think people really saw Schmaltz being one of our leading shooters of the season. Let's go a little bit further down the lineup. How about the 3rd and 4th line? Obviously, this is a team that's been pretty banged up to start the season on the forward side of things. And we really haven't seen almost any depth scoring here. Again, I think it's just a matter of time for that cookie to crumble. But who has stood out to you in the bottom 9 through the first 4 games?
Lawson Krause, I think, has probably been the most valuable, consistent forward this season through all 4 games, start to finish in each game. If you want to look at like not having highs and lows and being just predictably extremely valuable offensively, defensively, physically, stealing pucks, making smart plays, being positionally extremely sound, just being an absolute workhorse and a physical force to play against. His back checking has been unreal. Really great stick on puck, timely takeaways. Really just kind of being a coach's dream. He's a guy that you can throw over the boards in any situation, and he's going to give you a solid 200-foot effort with some nice physicality thrown in the mix this season, which is really very heartening to see. Extremely encouraging, given that last season was such a disappointment for Lawson Krause. I feel like Utah Hockey Club fans who never got to watch the Arizona Coyotes were a little bit confused about where all this Lawson Krause hype was coming from and why he was such a featured member of the team when the results and overall impact on the ice just weren't there. But now that they're Utah Mammoth fans, they're really starting to see what it is that made him such a valuable contributor to the Coyotes for all those years. He was a guy who took a little bit of heat online, took a little bit of heat in the podcast sphere. Certainly this podcast is one of those in which Krause was getting grilled a little bit for his effort. And I think that his staunchest defenders were the ones reminding all of us what else he can bring to the table. And we weren't really seeing that last season, honestly. Even when the offense was dried up, we weren't seeing this other stuff either. But now we're seeing why he can be such a valuable player, even when he's not scoring. And finally, everything Craig Morgan was pounding the table and begging us to realize is coming to fruition, and people can kind of see what Craig was talking about whenever he was defending Krause so full-chestedly during the driest of the dry spells for Krause last season.
Yeah, agreed. And I know there was kind of a lot of trade chatter. I think we had plenty of proposals of sending him to Buffalo for Paterka because he would be the perfect fit for them to get a gritty player who kind of can bring the boom and to use a really outdated reference there, and kind of bring some elements to the game that they were kind of lacking on that department. In the end, they get Josh Doan, who can play a very similar game, had 3 assists against Ottawa. So that was great to see. But I always kind of felt we'd be selling Krause low if we did trade him last season, because, you know, he does have, he had some term on that contract. Was really having a down year. I believe I had said it over and over that I thought last year will be the worst season he has in his prime years. And I am still a believer of that, especially when Krause really set the tone early in this preseason that he was ready to kind of become that physical force again. Now, Krause has a goal in 5 of the last 8 games against the Sharks, missing in the last 3.
He's got no goals on the season. Yeah.
This may be the time when we get a little bit of depth scoring tonight. I would love to see that, especially at home. So kind of a little interesting piece there. Another
guy, I think, sorry. I was just gonna bring up Jack McBain as another guy who might be due to break through a little bit. I think he's been pretty impressive from a physicality standpoint, playing center with Kerfoot and Hayton out, and guys like Agazino drawing into the lineup. We really needed to count on McBain. He was playing in kind of higher situations, and he's a guy who through 4 games does have 9 shots. Good for third on the team. He actually has more shots on the season than Clayton Keller does, I believe. And he's been rewarded so far with just a single goal. So Jack McBain might be a guy to keep an eye on in that bottom 6 as a potential candidate to light the lamp tonight or play in on the offense versus the Sharks.
Yeah, and that's really a place where this team can exploit the Sharks a little bit. That's a team whose depth isn't nearly what most NHL quality teams have. Obviously, they're very deep into a rebuild here. So that's a team that's probably going to be turning around and filling out that roster a little bit more down the road. But right now, it's kind of that top 2 lines that are stacked offensively. And then from there on, it starts to kind of get, you know, guys that were hoping to keep their NHL careers going or finding kind of that last spot to maybe get a spark going again too. Without Granlund on that team, you can definitely see there's early into the season, the mix doesn't seem to be quite there. And a lot of the weight is going on to that young guns on the top lines. Brandon Tanev comes in as advertised, leading the team in hits. Is there anything else to say there? I've loved his game. I'm so happy that we have him for multiple years. That guy's going to be a spark plug. And it's just exciting to have players like that on this team.
Yeah, he's been so much fun to watch. Yeah, so much fun to watch. Hits anything that moves. And I love that he kind of pushes the envelope on whether it's going to be late. He hasn't been called too many times for interference, but that's definitely a hallmark of his. I saw him have a couple of epic misses and just really punish the glass a couple of times so far this season too, which was kind of hilarious. So as he was working his timing on those hits in a mid-season form early on. But yeah, he's a good, honest meat and potatoes work boots player who's just going to step over the boards every shift with one gear, one speed, and he's going to be looking at torpedo guys and just absolutely bring it every shift. So really a fun energy player to have on the team.
Two other really shining stars I think we have to address. Let's start with Simashev here. Has really come in and looked like an NHL defenseman right from the get-go. I've been so impressed. It looks like Jarmelson in a gigantic frame out there, really smart, really aggressive, pounds the puck carrier like a lion pouncing on a gazelle is the metaphor we've been using over and over again. And he has brought that same game to the NHL. But what has really impressed me too is the shot looks so much better than advertised or anything we saw in his KHL days.
Yeah, I agree. The shot being up leveled in such a way as he's added strength and become bigger and more mature. I think it's going to be a game changer for him because, what I saw in his games that I watched in Russia was that the shot was a little bit of a muffin. He wasn't getting much on it. And it was clear the league knew because they weren't respecting the shot enough to open up passing lanes for him. So it kind of mitigated his overall offensive output because teams knew they didn't have to respect the shot and they could play the pass. So he wouldn't get seams to generate offense very effectively as a result of having that bit of a muffin that he had going there, which was surprising for a 6'4" kid in junior. You'd think he'd have a cannon. He didn't. So obviously he had some filling out to do and some mechanical issues to address. It seems that he's done that because the shots looked a lot more impressive and certainly something that's going to cause opposing wingers to have to respect that and seek to take that away a little bit rather than playing the pass. So if you've got wingers who have to be aggressive up on the point trying to take away the shot, it's going to open up passing lanes to his own wingers deeper in the zone to generate opportunities for offense. Even if he's not the one scoring goals, he'll be able to set them up a little bit more effectively if the shot is being respected.
Yeah, agreed. And then, I think it has to be pointed out that the fits game in, game out have just been A+ for him.
Yeah,
full
looking like
Matrix Reloaded, coming down the hallway, carrying books.
Yeah, did you see? We just found out what it was.
Yes,
some intrepid reporter found out that it was a Stephen King book. Yeah,
yeah.
So a little disappointing, but Simashev did add the caveat that he still favors the Russian greats, the Russian masters. Dostoevsky is still his number one, not Stephen King. So rest assured.
Maybe he's trying to see what America has to offer in literature and went for one of the modern, I don't know if you would say greats, but a storyteller.
Well, it's spooky season. It's Halloween, right?
Yeah.
So you went with Stephen King. Unfortunately, the book he did choose was not scary at all. It was a little bit more sci-fi time travel kind of thing. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry for all the Stephen King fans out there. I understand.
Yeah, so he's spooky season, but he chose wrong. If he was looking for jump scares or things to make him sleep with the nightlight on, that one's not going to do it.
We need to get this man a Kurt Vonnegut novel.
A little slaughterhouse for him. Yeah. That would be interesting to read as an ESL person, I think. To read that in a language that's not your native tongue would be interesting. It's interesting enough in English reading that thing. And I wonder what the Russian perspective is on the firebombing of Dresden. This has gone off the rails.
Yeah. Well, this is
far too much.
It's been a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, he's been unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. does not look like a rookie out there. Now, he's not going to be the type that's going to win the Calder or anything, because that requires you to put up the most points as a rookie. And Mr. Zeev Bouillon, Jess has been fantastic for Minnesota, but we'll talk about that when the two teams match up. But Simashev, man, everybody's been saying that there needs to be a defensive defenseman award down the road here, and we can't just only have the Norris that always gets awarded to the top scoring defenseman in the league, or at least one of the defensemen that's top 3 in scoring and has been superior on the defensive end as well. I would love to see that defensive defenseman trophy that could be awarded around NHL season awards. And because as this guy gets better and better and years go by, this is the type of player that would be in the conversation for that. And obviously he has a lot of room to grow still, but 4 games
his impact has been,
been
apparent. Yeah, big impact, especially for a guy who's only averaging 1340 of ice per game. It's a little misleading, though, right? Because he was playing lower in the lineup against Colorado and Nashville, and didn't get moved up until Chicago and Calgary when he was playing with Sergachev. He got benched a little bit in the Nashville game, which I'll just say it, I thought was complete bullshit. A lot of the veteran defensemen were way worse. A lot of people had bad games that night. He didn't. He made a mistake. Ian Cole made glaring blunders. It wasn't even close. That was a ageist benching if I've ever seen one. Simashev didn't deserve it. But who knows? Maybe he tweaked something. I'm reading too much into it. But he came back and was paired with Sergachev against Chicago and had the most ice time of the season, 17:30 in that game. And he would have probably eclipsed even that mark against Calgary, except for the Flames took about 7,000 minor penalties, I think, plus a bunch of majors, plus God, I mean, that team was so undisciplined. It was nuts. There was and Utah wasn't a whole lot better. There was just very little 5-on-5 hockey played against Calgary. I think that in terms of 5-on-5 time during Calgary, he was probably among the leaders of defensemen. And, when he's sitting out from all that power play time and he's cold, there may be a little hesitation to send him out there next shift. You want guys a little warmer. So it kind of snowballed a little bit. So I expect his ice time to go up and up and up from here. And he'll be the kind of guy who spends a ton of time each game on the ice for the Mammoth.
Yep. And then final shining star, save the best for last here. Vejmelka's been just spectacular again. And coming off of that preseason, I had concerns. I had concerns before preseason games was that the best season we'll see from Vejmelka last year. Goalies are voodoo. They bounce up and down. Through 4 games, I have tons of confidence, or I guess he's only started 3, right? Tons of confidence, though. And obviously there are going to be stinkers in there, but just being able to see him play to this ability already, he made some big saves against some high danger opportunities against Calgary, despite the shot totals they had. Was phenomenal in that Colorado game. And just knowing that he is able to still play to this caliber, and he's been doing it early, should give everybody loads of confidence and his ability to perform all season.
Completely. Yeah, and I actually thought it was more impressive that he was able to stop pucks after that second period where he could have laid down and taken a nap. He didn't see any rubber at all. Dude was bone dry and ice cold out there. He was I was surprised I didn't see him sipping hot chocolate out on the other end of the ice, because he didn't see the puck at all that whole second period. And then Calgary
may have even let him get a practical one,
And then Calgary made a huge push at the end. I think there was a lot of pride on the line there, because that was one of the most embarrassing periods we've seen all season from any team. And they came back with a huge push, and he was ready for it, which says something. I mean, maybe being a guy who spent so much of his career as a backup put him in a position to to come in cold and immediately perform, but I was really impressed by it. And to your point, goalies are voodoo. They go up and down. You never really know what you're going to get with a goalie from season to season, game to game. I mean, look at Hellebuck. He's the most elite goalie in the world during the regular season and a bit of a train wreck in the postseason. We've seen so many goalies who've had 2 or 3 amazing seasons only to fall completely off the map and never be heard from again. Karel Vejmelka himself came out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, to steal a starting position in the NHL, which he promptly lost the next season to Connor Ingram, who vastly outplayed him. And we thought, oh, is Veggie a one and done guy? We went ahead and brought him back to be Ingram's backup. Ingram was unavailable. Veggie stepped in and was absolutely phenomenal again. And then a 5-year extension. And all Coyotes fans, I think, had a little bit of anxiety about that because we've seen the Jekyll and Hyde routine here. And we wondered, is this going to continue, this pattern of up and down with this player? But I think that he's made an emphatic statement that he's here to stay as a top performing goalie, whose team hasn't been the absolute best in front of him night in and night out. There's been some inconsistencies from the Utah Mammoth in front of Karel Vejmelka. He's been consistent himself with a .929 save percentage and a 1.67 goals against average, which is absolutely stellar. Even in a small sample size, he's been everything that we could have hoped for and more to start the season.
Now get this. I think I've uncovered why the Mammoth's scoring woes may be occurring already. For goals saved above expected leaders, number 1 is Shesterkin with an 8.1 goals above saved, because he is the only reason why that team is not getting blown out most nights. Thatcher Demko is number 2 with 5.2. Scott Wedgwood of the Colorado Avalanche, number 3 with 5.2. Vejmelka, number 4 at 5.1. UC Saros of Nashville Predators, number 5
Wedgwood,
at 5.1.
Saros.
And Spencer Knight, number 6 and 4. So the Mammoth have taken on 3 of the top 6 goalies for goals saved above expected. And if you remove their own goalie, who is in the top 5, that means they would have taken on 3 of the top 5 goalies that they could actually play against.
Yes. So Utah is king making. They're responsible for bloating the goals saved above expected average for every goalie they've faced. They're just leaving in their wake a long line of goalies who are playing statistically well above their career averages. So they all should be writing thank you notes to the Utah Mammoth for not converting on those many shot attempts.
Yeah. Well, I think breaking down kind of some of these player stats, team stats, and goalie stats has really kind of helped paint the picture of why this team is 2-on-2. I think next we kind of want to do a little bit of Robo Trent's reporting of the youth movement and what's been going on with some of the team's top prospects. But before we do that, do want to say, I got to do all the plugs really quick. Make sure you're liking and subscribing this video. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube already, what are you doing? I've had people mention to me that they all of a sudden look down at their subscribe button and realize they weren't. So give us a subscribe. That helps us get our content out to more people, making a bigger and bigger Mammoth community here. And speaking of a Mammoth community, get in our Discord. Discord.cleanhitshockey.com. We have a ton of fun in there. Game day threads are just an incredible spot. So many great users in there that are going to keep you up to date with all the news that you could ever need about the team. We got the prospect thread, the game day thread. We got the general NHL thread. It's just a blast in there. So make sure you are getting in there to join a really, really fantastic community. And if you want to help support the Clean Hits podcast, you can do so by grabbing a shirt like my elite Mikhail Sergachev shirt. We're going to have to do a Simashev one here soon. Or by becoming a super sub on YouTube. You can get all of our merchandise at shop.cleanhitshockey.com. We will be doing our first t-shirt giveaway tonight, so be sure to have those eyes peeled on our Twitter account. Get that first goal scorer for the Mammoth ready, because whoever can select that player will be entered to win one of our t-shirts. So definitely be on the lookout for that. All right, let's do it. I know
we do need at least 3 more people to join that Discord. We're
Yes.
at 297, if you can see that. Look at that. We need 3 more.
Wow.
If you're on the fence, sign up. Help us get to 300. It's a nice round number. Help us out here. 300 of the most insane Utah Mammoth obsessed fans posting unhealthy volumes, unhealthy times of day or night.
Yeah.
If you're suddenly awake at 3 a.m. and just compelled to have a deep conversation about the Utah Mammoth, I promise you, there's people waiting there for you just to have that conversation. It does not matter what time of day or night, what Utah Mammoth brand of topic you're interested in. It's all going down there in the Discord. And in game days like today, you can't keep up with it. It's insane. Just the sheer volume of posts and celebrations. It's really a game day enhancing experience for sure. Make sure you get in there and get involved in this online community. It's the best online community for the Utah Mammoth by far. If you're not experiencing it and you are a Utah Mammoth fan, you've waited too long. Get in there.
Yep. All the links are down in the description. So if you can't remember them, just go down there and whoop, there goes Ned. And give us a sub and join that Discord as well. All right. Let's get into the youth movement here, because these first round picks by Mr. Bill Armstrong, which again, if you have not seen that interview, what are you doing? That one was fantastic. That's in our interviews section of the YouTube, where you can see all of our interviews ever, which would include quite a few players that we're about to talk about. All of the first round picks that BA has made for this team seem to be producing. Let's talk about some of the ones that aren't on the team. And I think the one that we have to address right off the bat is Tisha Genla, who has looked like what we thought he was going to be. An pure goal scorer, a finisher, a winner. What have been your thoughts on Tej for the first couple games of the WHL season he's played in?
Yeah, he's gotten into one game that I've seen so far with Kelowna. He's got 2 goals, including one with just seconds left in regulation. And he's got 3 points on the season in the one game that I've seen. I think he has just one game played, but
okay.
He's a player who in the preseason looked a little rusty. He played just 21 games last season before shutting it down for double hip surgery, and wasn't able to come back until rookie camp. So he's been shut down for quite some time. I was really pleased to see in the preseason the way he was moving and using his hips and his edges, the way he was turning and mohawking on the ice. Tomahawking, my goodness. The way he was mohawking on the ice and using his edges. Really good to see, but obviously wasn't dangerous enough and generating enough from an offensive perspective to get a longer look in camp. He looked like a kid who needed to go back down to junior, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But this is a kid, after all, that 2 years ago in his draft year, and he was one of the youngest players in his draft class, by the way. He didn't turn 18 until August 4th that year. He played 82 games all told between the regular season, the postseason, and international play for Canada, and had 62 goals in 82 games that year as a draft eligible. And that includes playoffs and international play, where it's a whole hell of a lot harder to score goals than it is regular season as a junior player. So he's a guy who knows how to fill the net. So we shouldn't be surprised by the hot start, but we should be very encouraged by it, because if he had been down in Kelowna scoring at this torrid pace, I mean, last year he had 14 goals in 21 games. Wow. He had 32 points in 21 games. So he was really beginning to get hot last year before he had to shut it down. And that's a guy who had 2 bum hips that needed surgery. So I think a healthy Tej is a productive Tej. I think a productive Tej is a kid who's going to really generate a ton of hype and a ton of buzz. He's going to go star for Canada internationally this year. Kelowna's hosting the Memorial Cup, so he's got an automatic entry into that tournament. He'll be a star player at both. He's got the name recognition. He's got the grit, the inside driving ability, the hands, and the shot, the elite shot. So we're going to see a ton of highlights from Tej Ginla, and I'm excited to watch him all season long. And Utah fans can too, because WHL streamed on Victory Plus this year, which is free. So go download that and watch the Kelowna Rockets this season. Get a second team to root for, because Tej is a star in the making for your Utah Mammoth, and you can say you saw him first.
Victory Plus, isn't that where Frank Saravalli, friend of the show, went?
Yep. Frank Saravalli's there, and I think the Dallas Stars and some NBA team. I don't know what this Victory Plus thing is. But
it's cool, though. I mean,
yeah,
we're getting WHL from it, so why not?
Yep. And between that and a Flow Hockey subscription, you can see pretty much everything, because the MHL games are on YouTube. Flow Hockey's got USHL, OHL, QMJHL, SHL, a bunch, right? So between you just subscribe to Flow, and then you have a YouTube account, and you subscribe to Victory, and before you know it, you can watch so much of these games. You probably watch, 2/3 of the kids who will be drafted in the first round this year easily.
Yep, you can become a complete prospect sicko like Trent if you do that.
Yep.
Let's keep on going down the line here. Let's stick in juniors for now, and let's talk about another former first overall pick, Cole Baudouin, first round pick ever, and second pick ever by the Utah Mammoth, Utah Hockey Club at the time. Same draft class as Tej Ginla. This kind of a big bruising centerman, kind of, in the vein of maybe a Brian Boyle or Jack McBain in a lot of ways. What have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, I think with Cole Baudouin, there was a lot of talk about him potentially making the Mammoth out of camp, especially when some spicy pictures came out of him at the lake, and people saw that he's got the Rod Brindamore carved out of granite physique, which was not a surprise to folks who paid attention to the pre-draft hype and the post-draft hype, and read a friend of the show, Scott Wheeler's great piece on Cole Baudouin in his draft year, where he talked all about what a physical mutant he is and what an absolute specimen he's become, and all the people in his life who have helped him shape himself into that physical specimen. So definitely read Scott Wheeler's long form work. He has some really good ones on some Utah Mammoth prospects, including Cole Baudouin. So I was not taken aback or shocked at the physique unveiling that took Twitter by storm a little bit, especially with a certain segment of the fan base who were very
romance novels getting written.
Yes, they were very impacted by those visuals, but was not a surprise to me. I knew the kid was a brick house, right? And he's defensively responsible. He plays a 200-foot game, so he's smart enough. He's hardworking enough. He's physically mature enough to handle the grind of the NHL, right? So there's a lot of talk about, he's the dark horse candidate to make the team. We think he's going to make the team. A lot of people were beating that drum. I was always pushing back as hard as I possibly could on that. That's a mistake teams make all the time with players like this. He's a kid who was coming off of a season in the OHL where he was under a point per game. With the Barrie Colts, who were a pretty good team. I mean, they had a deep playoff run. They played 16 playoff games in which he had 13 points, right? So Cole Baudouin was a kid who's not dominating juniors from an offensive perspective. Solid offensive player in juniors, not a dominant offensive player in juniors. And some of the best defensive checking forwards that in the NHL, some of the best defensive defensemen in the NHL that were highly productive junior players. It doesn't mean that you need them to go to juniors to learn how to be a bona fide first line center, number one PP option. It means that you need him to go back to juniors to learn how to dominate, to build up his confidence, to round out his entire 200-foot game to include the offensive zone, and to learn the kind of skills and pace and vision and playmaking and nuance that you need to be successful in the NHL when time and space is taken away from you. Dominating a junior league is a very important development milestone for impact NHLers, most of whom were dominant junior players before they were impact NHL players. And I wanted to see Cole Baudouin go back to junior, impose his will on the OHL, be Barry's best player, shine brightly, and dominate that league, build his skill set out, and come into Utah as a favorite to make the team next season. And I think he's doing that. He's got 9 points in 5 games. He's top 5 in the entire OHL in points per game. And he's doing that as a guy who's first and foremost a fantastic defensive player and checking lines and checking centers. So another guy who's a favorite for Team Canada. I think it'd be nuts not to bring him. He's had a ton of success for them in the past. He's been a jack of all trades for that program. TJ Ginla as well, with the golden goal for them at one point. So you could see a couple of Mammoth prospects starring for Team Canada at the biggest stage for junior hockey, which is the World Juniors between Christmas and New Year's. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Cole Baudouin showing tons of positive signs in his development, doing exactly what I was hoping that he would do when he went back to junior this year.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic to see the dominance he's had early into the season. And if you have not seen our interview with Baudouin, that was our first one ever. And, it seems like he's been working on the offensive game, kind of filling in all those check marks of becoming a complete player. The one thing that I will have to say he needs a little work on is his playlist, though, because that Black Eyed Peas hype song doesn't do it for me. But he can learn. He can learn.
Yeah, right, go back and watch the Cole Baudouin video if you haven't seen it yet, or interview with him. It's pretty evergreen. I think if you didn't see that draft, if you were late to the Mammoth party, or you waited till the first regular season game and you weren't watching the entry draft at that point and you feel like you missed out a little bit, definitely go watch that interview with Cole Baudouin. I think you'll get to know the prospect a lot better, and you'll feel a little bit more of a connection as you cheer against him in the World Juniors, because we hope that Tej and Cole Baudouin are as good as they can possibly be, but fall just short to the God-blessed United States of America, the greatest hockey country on the planet.
Yep. Bingo. All right, let's actually go into the American Hockey League then and talk about the farm team in Tucson, the Roadrunners. So this is kind of our the Utah Mammoth's direct pipeline to our prospects throughout the season. These are players that can get called up, get sent back if there are injuries, or if somebody is just popping from that team. Let's start with the other Russian, the other Redwood here, Daniil Boot, who you have a lot of praise for from what you've seen in his Tucson games. How many has he played now? Again, I'm kind of in catch-up mode too.
2.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they usually play on the weekends in the AHL.
Yeah,
just for gate reasons. It's not a huge draw in many of those markets, and they wouldn't draw flies on a Tuesday most places. So AHL games are weekend packed. So a bit like college hockey in that way, you'll see most of the schedule over the weekend. So last weekend was opening weekend for the Ontario Reign, not Ontario, Canada, but Ontario, California, over there by John Wayne Airport. Is that what it is over there? Anyway, Southern California,
north, I believe. I think it's closer to LA. We're not going to get in it. It's somewhere in the
Anaheim.
By the Bakerfield, or a little bit south of the whatever.
Over there.
By Pasadena. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Tucson was there over the weekend, last weekend, and our boy Daniil Boot, the Bootski, Bootski, as Dmitry Simashev refers to him, had 1 point in 2 games, which if you look at the box score, if you look at the stat line, you think, okay, whatever. He had 1 point. I highly encourage everybody to subscribe to Flow Hockey and go back and watch those Ontario Reign games versus the Roadrunners from last weekend, because our boy Butsky was absolutely dangerous. Both games, all the time, and playing the exact type of hockey that the Utah Mammoth desperately need. He was getting inside constantly, so making high skill plays in the slot or to the slot, driving the net front, going from corner to net front, placing passes into the slot, dangerous shots for rebounds. He was really in the mixer, in the bumper, stirring it all up right there in front of the net with some really high skill plays, carrying the puck, really good zone entries, looking like just what the doctor ordered for the Utah Mammoth. So my hope is that Butsky just keeps it up, keeps doing what he's doing. The points are going to come, no doubt about it. If he plays every game like he played those, he's going to be piling up points down there in no time. And before you know it, hopefully we all get a wonderful Christmas present and get a Daniel Boot call-up. He comes in and replaces some of these depth players who are probably a little bit better suited for Tucson than he is at this point. And hopefully he comes up confident, acclimated, and ready to work that same magic for the Mammoth that he's so far managed to make in Tucson.
Yeah, and the nice thing here too is if he does get called up and maybe he's taking big man penalties like we saw with Maverick Lamoureux last year, while he's trying to adjust to the speed and the size of the NHL, and maybe he comes up, presses a little bit, but clearly there's still things to work on. The nice thing here is there is some depth in Tucson and some other interesting kind of bottom 9 players that may have the opportunity to kind of crack the roster. Sam Lipkin's one that comes to mind. Julian Lutz, who's friends with JJ Peterka, comes to mind. So it's going to be interesting to see how these call-ups happen. And man, this prospect pool is starting to really fill up and start to billow over. So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe we get multiple evaluations in the NHL, or if somebody like Boot comes up and just takes a spot and doesn't let it go. Let's talk.
Yeah, I would say the depth up front, the other forwards that stood out a little bit to me. I think that there's Noel Nord, there's Julian Lutz, there's Mikko Matika, there's Sam Lipkin, as you mentioned, there's Owen Allard as well, and I think Ben McCartney is another name in the games that I watched for Tucson so far. I thought that Owen Allard and Ben McCartney were the bigger standouts. Allard looked phenomenal as a fourth line center of the future, potentially, I should say. I don't think he's playing fourth line down there, but Allard looked really, really impressive, which Gabe Smith looked phenomenal in the preseason, and he's down with the Moncton Wildcats in the QMJHL. So between Cole Baudouin, Owen Allard, Gabe Smith, Jack McBain, Barrett Hayton, I mean, the bottom 6 center depth for the Utah Mammoth is about to be extremely impressive and awfully crowded. In a couple season time. So I think as needs start to present themselves, we'll have quite a pool to draw from to potentially trade from strength for weakness as we move forward. And we know that Bill Armstrong's always looking for ways to improve the team. Owen Allard, not only a standout for Tucson this year, but also a friend of the show and somebody we've interviewed in the past. So go check that out as well. I would say that does it for me for the forwards. Mikko Matica is showing confidence in his shot. He's starting to just fire that sucker off left and right, which was missing last season. Wasn't super happy with the way he was handled last year. He's getting more opportunity this year. He's noticeable. He's getting into position to get that shot off, and I'm encouraged by the early signs. Wasn't as much of a standout as some of the other players up front, like Boot and like Allard and like McCartney, but Matica definitely showing his stuff. But on the back end is that other first rounder you mentioned, Brad.
Yeah, Maverick Lamoureux. made his NHL debut last season when the injuries were piling up on the blue line. Never looked totally out of place, but again, I kind of mentioned this when talking about Daniil Boot. He was definitely taking big guy penalties where you have a bigger frame, you have a longer stick, things are getting stuck in areas against players that probably shouldn't. You kind of get caught up by the speed. You're kind of in the way of people because of that, and penalties are easier to call. And I think NHL players know how to draw penalties against kind of these bigger kids as they're starting to enter the league as well. Foot speed definitely needs a little bit more work as well, from what I could tell last season. Great shot though, and unfortunately, his season, or his kind of time with the NHL, ended with an injury, and then that kind of put him out of the lineup for quite a bit of the Tucson Roadrunners season again, but had an all right preseason. It was kind of clear that Artem Duda and Simashev were maybe taking bigger strides towards being NHL regulars, but you have a lot of praise from first 2 games of Mavlam.
Yeah, and Duda's always good every time I watch him. So I'm excited about Duda too. But Maverick Lamoureux last season I thought was better in the NHL than he was in the AHL, which is always interesting and probably suggests that you need more AHL time, which he's gotten.
Yes,
but the feet, the speed, the skating in and around the zone. The shot is getting through. He doesn't have any points in those first 2 games. It's a very small sample size. But I was really, really, really impressed with not only the individual tools, but how he's starting to put them all together. We're starting to see him string together these tools into an overall package that looks absolutely dangerous. And he made that very clear in his first couple of games in the AHL this season, that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with down there. I think he'd gotten enough of that carne asada that you recommended in Tucson when he was on the show, Brad. He's bulked up a bit and he's looking lean and mean out there. But he's definitely someone who it was exciting to watch in the first couple of games against Ontario, because it's like, oh boy, it's going to be a whole different story down on the farm this year for Mavlam. He's gonna bring some different elements, and he was projected to be a huge project that was going to take a long time when they picked him in 2022, and that was before he was limited to just 35 games that next season and just 39 games the season after that. And then between Utah and Tucson last season, he managed only to get into 57 games because of injuries and illness that continue to pop up for this player. Not surprising, given how beanpole thin he was. I mean, he was 6'7" at the draft, and he's gained, I don't even know how many pounds since then, 20, 25 pounds in just the last few years. So finally he's getting enough bulk, I think, to hold him together when contact comes. That he's not just getting blown up and coming apart at the seams like he may have when he was a little bit younger. So despite being a huge project when he was picked, and despite missing so much time to injury and illness, I'm extremely excited to see how far his game has come just in those last few years, despite the time missed. So like Simashev, he's a guy who I think still is a little bit ahead of schedule. Even though he's in the AHL and he would expect him to be in the AHL at this point, I think what I've seen suggests that his game is more advanced at the AHL level than I probably would have been hoping for when he was drafted a few years ago.
Especially with the time missed too. So yeah. Again, BA has really kind of mastered that first round of the NHL draft, considering all of these multiple picks and multiple drafts are really on track, if not exceeding their developmental track. All look like they could be impact players in the NHL right now. Obviously, there's still time to make sure, and they will actually need to play NHL games. But so far, so good on, how many did we just talk about? 4. Then you add Simashev, Cooley, Gunther. The future is bright for this team. The depth is there, and that can only help with cap management as this team becomes more and more competitive. And you never know, we may be seeing the likes of Duda or Maverick Lamoureux sooner than we thought with the Sean Dursley injury and, now guys like Alimada, Schmidt, and Cole are probably going to be in the lineup night in, night out. And if somebody gets banged up, I have a feeling one of those guys may be called up first. Of course, we have DeSimone as well, too. And Perovich. So we got depth here.
I would say too, it helps with cap management to have these ELCs coming along, but there's strong rumors of expansion and like a lot of expansion, maybe going up to 36 teams potentially. There's a ton of smoke around that. And if they do these expansions 2 by 2 over the next, 2 to 6 years, Utah's going to lose a lot of valuable players. ELCs, of course, are exempted from that. There tends to be like a games played limitation or an age limitation, this kind of thing. So continuing to bolster the prospect pool is going to help us make up for those very painful and inevitable losses via expansion. So hopefully Utah as an expansion club themselves technically have some kind of an exemption. We'll see how the rules shake out. But one thing is for sure, the more young talent you have coming up, the better, especially in a cap world and a expansion world.
Yep. Well, last topic that needs to be addressed is the unveiling of Tusky, the Utah Mammoth mascot. Love the way they did it in the big ice block with him breaking out of it. Pretty cool mascot. I think it's a lot of us thought if it was going to be a mammoth, it was going to be kind of a rounder, more snuffleupagus type of mascot. But they went full SLC punk here, not to be confused with Austin Facer, the man, the myth, the legend of SLC Puck, but gave him a blue mohawk. He looks like he's going to be able to beat up any opposing fans in the stands. I think he's pretty cool.
Yep. SLC Punk, definitely inspired, I'd say. Shouts out RIP Heroin Bob. Those who know. Yeah, I thought I kind of had to laugh a little bit. I was watching it with my 11-year-old. My 3-year-old was at church club with my wife, or not 3-year-old, 8-year-old. My goodness. I was watching the game with my 11-year-old, and the hype started. The thing came out, and they had the actor who was like talking about, the greatest discovery I've ever made or whatever. It's getting a little bit borderline cheesy, and then there was kind of like half a second, a little too long before the ice cube started coming out, and then Mammoth came out. So like it built maybe just one tick too much anticipation for a fuzzy blue guy to jump out, because when the fuzzy blue guy jumped out, me and my son both just started laughing, dude. We about lost it. Yeah. We were just laughing when we saw him. So our first response to that was to laugh at the guy. But secondarily, I was like, it's cool that he's blue and I like that mohawk. And then my son's response was basically like, yeah, I mean, if you have to have the mammoth ice skate, like an ice skating mammoth who has to be like human shaped in order to be out on the ice. He was like, this is about as good as you're going to get. And I was like, yeah, that's true. He's like, I think they did as good of a job as you can designing an ice skating mammoth. I totally agree with my 11-year-old in that regard. We both decided that the name was a little weak, maybe a little lacking in creativity, but
Wooly,
when
man.
I told
Wooly was right there.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of options there, but when I told my younger son about it, I was like, yeah, his name's Tusky. Look at him. He looks cool. He was like, oh yeah, it's great. Tusky, can I get one? And I'm like, yeah, we'll buy you one. So I think with the littler kids, having a name that's a little on the nose, or in this case, on the trunk, maybe resonates a little bit more with a younger audience who don't really want a name that you have to explain the meaning of to them. You'll lose it a little bit. They're like, if you bought them a plush mammoth, you'd say, what's his name? They might come up with Tusky pretty quick and think that was a pretty good name. So I think if you had a kindergarten class vote on the name, Tusky probably would win. If you had a group of 40-year-olds, probably it would be some inappropriate double entendre about trunks or tusks or something. So this is for this is for the kids, and I think something for the kids. They knocked it out of the park. I think they did a phenomenal job. Yeah.
Agreed. Well, we covered a lot here, huh?
A lot of ground.
Good per season episode, I'd have to say.
Yeah, so thank you to the 300 people who started this episode, and a special shouts out to the 3 people who finished it.
Yes. It's fun though. It feels great that the season is well on its way, and I think the team is kind of exactly where I was hoping they would be. Obviously, goal scoring going up would be phenomenal, but all the games have been very respectable so far, win or lose, and I am just so thrilled to see Vejmelka just pick it up right where he left off. So big shout outs to anybody that follows Clean Hits. Make sure you're getting involved with the Utah Mammoth community out there too. SLC Puck doing phenomenal work. Definitely helping bridge the gaps between content for us. And I mean, he's doing however many shows a week. So definitely tune into him. Guys, shout out to Cap and Crunch on Twitter too. It was so good seeing the Goodnight Mammoth tuck you in at night gif for the first time the other day. Again, if you want to help support the podcast, go pick up a shirt like the Elite Sergachev shirt, the Utah Mammoth Club shirt. Got loads more like the Caller shirt, the Gunther Costco card shirt, tons of merch at shop.cleanhitshockey.com. Trent, anything else you want to say?
Well, just if you want to get a Bam Bam's barbecue shirt, you're not going to be able to get it at our store. You'll have to go to Bam Bam's. That's all. Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I like that too. In fact, I think I know what I want for lunch now. So, all right, let's get a big win tonight. I want to see, I don't know, 5-6 goals would be fantastic. Kraus is going to get one. I can guarantee that. And it should be another big night in SLC at the DC. Get in that game chat thread in our Discord if you're not going to the game yourself. And Tusk up. There you go. Till next time. See you guys.
Who's running the game now?